Today we're reacting to Sportsnet, breaking down Oliver Ekman-Larsson and what his play says about the Leafs defense as a whole. Expectations were low when he arrived, but his role has become bigger than many expected. Let's talk about what's working and what still isn't. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy Leafs Reacts.
Insider at the top of the hour, and Brad Larson, former National Hockey League head coach with Columbus and also Calgary, will drop by and give us his thoughts on Rasmus Andersson. Plenty more when we return to Real Kipper and Bourne. Scotiabank Arena. Let's bring in Mike Russo, NHL writer for The Athletic, based in Minnesota. Mike, how are you, my friend?
What's up, Kipper? How are you?
We're good. We're good. So, as far as the Minnesota Wild is concerned, they certainly shot up to another level in terms of how we perceive them with the big trade. But overall, the bigger story, at least for now, is the injury bug and how they come in limping a little bit in Toronto.
Yeah, that's been the story of the last couple of years with this team. And they went through a week and a half where they were healthy. And of course, that was too good to be true. And now they suddenly are out without a bunch of guys. And so they're missing an entire line tonight, which has been their best line of the season. Joel Eriksson centering Matt Boldy and Marcus Johansson, Jonas Brodin, and Zach Bogosian also out of the lineup. So all five of those guys are still back in Minnesota, won't be in Montreal tomorrow as well. And yet the other night in Buffalo, they figured out a way to play really well for that game and wound up getting 2 points with the extra point in overtime. So we'll see tonight how they do against the Toronto team that seems to have turned its season around here the last month.
I am legally obligated to ask you a Quinn Hughes question now. So how has his impact been on the Minnesota Wild? What has changed since he has arrived?
Well, they're obviously scoring a lot more. They've won a lot of games here. They've been a little blip, a little of the radar lately, but Quinn's been outstanding. The one biggest thing that the difference is that they're getting production from their entire blue line, just not him. Before he arrived on December 14th, they were 29th in the NHL in blue line points. Now they're first or second in the league in that span. But he has just completely changed their ability to get out of the defensive zone. He's their ability to just transition 5-on-5 has been second to none, and he's still playing 29, 30 minutes a game. But even he's been saying in the last couple of days that it feels like a little bit of an easier type of 30 minutes than he had in Vancouver, just because they're a better team. He loves playing with Brock Faber. Faber's been outstanding playing next to him. He has completely changed just the way that they play offense right now. Their power play, I know, has been one area where they want to improve. It's been a little up and down, but again, you're playing a number one power play tonight where suddenly you're without Boldy, you're without Eriksson, and that changes the complexion of that number one unit.
You're watching and listening to Michael Russo, NHL writer, talking Minnesota Wild. So even with
Oil looks calm and steady, which is something this defense really needs. He's not trying to do too much, and sometimes that's exactly the right approach.
Ekman-Larsson or Eriksson Ek. Oh my God!
You got it.
I like OEL better, but Mike, even with Ek, they're questionable down the middle. Now I'm looking at Ryan Hartman, maybe their number one centerman, going up against Tavares and Matthews. There has to be. You can't just go Quinn Hughes and then cut the tap off if you're Billy Guerin here. So it has to be a number one centerman in my eyes to think about going up against the likes of a Dallas and a Colorado.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think Billy Guerin would completely agree with you. That's easier said than done, though. I mean, it's been 25 years of this organization that they've been looking for a number one center. Obviously, Marco Rossi went in the Quinn Hughes trade, and so for a team that already lacked depth up the middle, now you crater it a little more. Danilo Urov looks like he's going to be on the rise. Obviously, Ek being out of lineup, it hurts, and Hartman, as you mentioned, is playing the number one unit, but number one line. But to your point, you don't give up four huge assets for Quinn Hughes to get this team to approach contender status. But know that you have to play Dallas probably in the first round, and if you get by Dallas, Colorado in the second round, without getting another center. So he hopes to make another big swing. The question is who that player is. there's only so many centers out there right now, and even those guys, I think that you'd question whether or not they're a true number one center. So I do expect at some point that Bill is going to try to make a move. He's been trying. I talked to him for a while the other day. But the other issue is that they have traded a lot of assets in the last couple of years, both in the Quinn Hughes trade, in the David Juracek trade. They traded a second in the Nyquist trade last year. So they're suddenly without when you trade for equivalents of first round picks for Quinn, you just don't have a lot of prospects anymore or A-plus prospects left. So it will be really interesting as we get closer to the deadline what he plans to do. But at some point, he's going to have to address the center position before the deadline.
One of the places the Wild been very good is in net. Gustafsson and Wallstedt seem like they're kind of going back and forth. I know Gustafsson's got more games on the season. Where are things at? I see there was a Wallstedt back-to-back in there not long ago. Are things shifting with who would be the primary goaltender there?
Yeah, I mean, Gus is playing again tonight after winning the other night. So lately it hasn't been, for about a month and a half, it was a strict rotation. Now, even after shutouts, there were 3 or 4 times where the goalie got the shutout the game before did not start the next game, which as we know is abnormal in the NHL. Lately, they've been going more.
Low expectations helped him a lot. Nobody is asking him to be a star just to be reliable. That seems to fit him well.
Depending on the opponent and the strengths of those teams or where those players have played well in the past. So Gus the other night wins in Buffalo. Wally's going through a bit of a tough stretch right now. He's given up 3 or more goals in 6 of his last 7 starts. He'll get the game in Montreal tomorrow. But Gus has been really good. Wally's had an unbelievable 6-week stretch there from the beginning of November until mid-December, and that has definitely been one of the strengths of this team.
Mike, over the last 3 or 4 years, our good pal here, Sammy McKee, has been all over the fact that a very good team in the Atlantic the last few years, Tampa, Florida, Toronto, end up getting eliminated early in the first round. There's no question that Minnesota has gone to another level in terms of the excitement of their fan base. But is there any talk down there about the playoff format and the fact that they will, in all probability, play a very good Dallas team, and one very good team will be eliminated in the first round? Is that kind of taken away any of the excitement, or not?
Well, I think that the Wild perennially or have exited in the first round, so there's always trepidation going into the playoffs amongst the fan base. But to your point, this is a year that there's a very good chance. I mean, you could have technically the 3 top teams in the NHL, and one of them is going to start on the road, and 2 of them might not get to the third round. I mean, you could say that in a lot of years, but the playoff format is something that Gary Bettman, trust me, we've asked him year after year after year about the format and whether it makes sense to go back to 1 versus 8, and he seems to be the one naysayer that as long as he's in charge, it's not going to change. I do think this will be a subject again at the GM's meetings in March, which I'll be at. I don't think Gary, we know that he loves this format. I think he's stubbornly going to stand by it. But this is a year where I do think that, this could be a year where all of a sudden people start talking more and more about it, because it just does seem unfair, where it doesn't seem like it's the right format when you have the easier path to a Stanley Cup being a wild card team. It just seems to be,
Even with OL playing well, the defense still gives up too many chances. That tells me the problem is bigger than one player.
Completely the antithesis of the way that it should be in professional sports. And so, I mean, Wild fans have talked about it. Would it be smarter for them to fall back to that wild card spot and maybe go play in Edmonton or somebody cross like they did last year when they played Vegas? So we'll see that when we get there. But Wild fans are always nervous about the playoffs, whether it's this format or any other.
So how soon do you expect there to be reinforcements coming for this Wild team? You look at these Colorado and Dallas, you're just talking about it. It's like, is this going to happen soon to get the most value, or is it like a deadline post-Olympics thing?
Yeah, I do think that if Billy can pounce early, that he's going to try to make a move. But again, the one thing that when you have as few assets as they have remaining, you also don't want to take the first thing that falls in your lap, and then next thing you know, you're shut out of something else that might pop up closer to the trade deadline. Or if you add a guy with a bunch of term, next thing you know, this summer, if some big thing happens and falls in your lap, that you're not going to be able to get involved. And Billy, the one thing with the buyout pain that this team went through the last 4 years is that he's been pretty much on the sideline, and I don't think that he enjoyed that. I think that's why he went out and shocked the world with the Quinn Hughes trade. But there's also the element here that Quinn has 1 year left on his contract afterwards, and if you're gonna go on a run, you've opened up the window now, and you've got to make a move. So it's going to be just really fascinating what Billy's got up his sleeve. He's running his organizational scouting meetings right now in Arizona. And then when he comes back, you pretty much the February 4th trade freeze comes into play very, very quickly. I mean, it's basically 9 days from today, I believe. Or excuse me, 2 weeks and 2 days from today. And so I'll just be really interested to see where he goes from here.
Mike, just one more for me, and that's just Quinn Hughes. I up here in Canada, everybody would be discussing every day, is he staying or is he going? And that's still another season away. How about in Minnesota and the talk about Quinn Hughes up until now? Will it remain? Is it quiet? Will it remain quiet? Where do you see the cutoff between, okay, when do we start really seriously talking about if this
Ekman-Larsson has been a positive story, especially compared to what people expected. He's helped stabilize parts of the blue line, but the Leafs' defensive issues won't disappear because of one good season from one player. If you like this reaction, hit like, subscribe, and let me know what you think about the Leafs defense.